The United States is discussing a joint response after Iran fired a barrage of missiles at Israel, warning Tehran of severe consequences. Israel has vowed to make Iran pay for the attack, which it said saw 180 missiles fired at its territory, most of them intercepted. At the same time, the Israeli-Gaza war rages on, with Israeli bombings reportedly killed 19 people on Tuesday. Israel reports that the Hamas October 7 attack on the country saw more than 1,000 people killed, mostly civilians, while Gaza reports Israel's military offensive has killed at least 41,000 people, mostly civilians. We are now joined in our Johannesburg studio by Shadi Abdurrahman, who is a journalist from Palestine, and he's currently in Johannesburg. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. And since you're a journalist there, I want to ask, what is it like to work in Gaza?
Working in Gaza is very unique because you are all the time expecting that there will be a military operation happening at any moment. Working in Gaza is also means that you are working under special circumstances, siege. You don't have access to so many things. There is no freedom of moving outside of Gaza. Regarding the coverage, you need to make sure that you know exactly what you are doing, otherwise you will put yourself in danger. Plus, you need to know that Gaza is a place where the Israeli forces are doing whatever they want, committing even crimes against journalists without anyone to question them. And evidence for that, you can see that around 200 journalists were killed only in the past 1 year by the Israeli army.
Right now, coming to the recent attack by Iran, what do you think about the missile attack on Israel last night?
I believe it was a retaliation by Iran. The Iran sovereignty have been affected by the Israeli acts inside the Iran territories and on the Iranian soil. The first thing, there was that attack which happened on the Iranian consulate in Damascus. Then the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, which was inside Iran, and then considered Hassan Nasrallah is the man of Iran in the region, and he was again assassinated, in addition to one high-rank commander of the Republican Guard who was hit in that big explosion, they used around 85 2,000 pounds bombs in that. So I believe it was a retaliation, and Iran, they tried to wait and delay their response for a long time in hope that the peace talks for Gaza may reach to a ceasefire, but once they reach to the point that there is no hope for that anymore, they decided to take their revenge.
So did Palestinians expect the conflict to spread wider in the region?
I'm not a representative of Hamas to speak on their tongue, but I'm sure that the United States have given an open hand and an open check for Benjamin Netanyahu, who was facing a lot of lawsuits and criminal lawsuits in Israel, and he used the opportunity to deviate all the region and forget about what's happening in Israel, and now he is trying to expand Israel by taking more lands. They are talking about annexing the West Bank completely, taking Gaza Strip, and also maybe adding some more lands from southern of Lebanon. So they are still using the same kind of mentality of the old occupation, like the British mandate in the old times, who wants to expand their country regardless the interests of the other people of these nations and these countries.
And how do you think Israel will respond to the recent attacks?
In my opinion, it is not a matter of respond at the moment, because Number one, it wasn't an offensive by Iran, and now Israel has to retaliate. Actually, the Iran offensive was a retaliation for what the Israelis did earlier. So it is now the responsibility of United States administration to hold the horses of the radical Israeli government, who are just using the open hands and using their heavy weapons in firing their missiles or using their air force to attack all the neighboring countries. Netanyahu would like to retaliate according to his opinion, but I believe the warning was clear by Iran that we have the capabilities to reach to your cities, reach your military bases and attack them with our long-range missiles. We are not Iran who was like 10 years ago. We are a country who is able to retaliate and revenge. I believe if Israel will take more actions, it may cause a more bigger conflict, which can bring in more players who can participate in that. Especially the region is very hot with the Ukrainian-Russian war going on. And the presence of the American forces in the region, this can become a nightmare and may, God forbid, lead to a third world war.
Right, and what is your view about the Israeli hostages that Hamas is still holding?
I can speak about the hostages that, yeah, they are there. We don't know that how many is alive, how many is dead, and if they are dead, those who are dead, they have been killed mostly by the Israeli attacks. But in the same time, we need also to speak about thousands of the Palestinian prisoners and hostages who have been arrested since last October at least. Since last October, more than 11,000 Palestinians were arrested and taken for no any legal reasons in the West Bank only, West Bank and Jerusalem, which is not there in Gaza. They didn't participate in the 7th of October. So why it is always good to talk about 100 and something hostages of Israel while everyone is ignoring thousands of the Palestinians? We need to be fair. We should speak about both sides. So they want the hostages, they have to speak to Hamas. They should go in like a peace process. There have been so many talks which was sponsored by Qatar and Egypt. In the same time, it was all the talks was destroyed by Netanyahu himself, because he doesn't care about the hostages. He only wants them to, in his narrative, to bring more sympathy. But in the same time, it is not, he doesn't really care about their lives, because he is the one who have been killing them with his own bombs and missiles which are fired on Gaza.
How do you think the international community should respond to these latest developments?
Since 7th of October, I believe that the international community is a big lie. There is no international community. It is some kind of one country who is running the world, and no one should speak anything else other than their narrative, which is USA, led by Israel. The international community is really unable to do anything, because they have been having UN resolutions against Israel to stop the war and have a ceasefire, and Israel is not caring. So where is that international community? I believe it is just a big lie.
Before I let you go, Shadi, what do you think of South Africa's case at the World Court accusing Israel of genocide?
I would like to appreciate the South African government for their courageous move to put that case into the International Crimes Court. It was really so appreciated by us as Palestinians. We do believe that only people who have been suffering from the unfair regimes can understand our suffering. And I hope that they will continue. I know that there are so much pressure put on South Africa by different Western powers to stop that case. But I really hope that they will not comply to these threats and they will continue in their war. And I would like to thank them and thank the South African people for their really respectable position from what's happening in Palestine and in the Gaza Strip especially.
All right, thank you so much, Shadi. That is Shabti Abdurrahman, a journalist who lives in Gaza.